COVID-19 cases are climbing rapidly. How Caldwell ISD is now planning to handle things when school starts next month.
Plus, the pandemic is taking a toll on everyone, but we're telling you how it's impacting students and their mental health.
And why a vaccine maker is facing another lawsuit. It's Thursday, July 29th. Good Morning Texas starts now. Happening now, the Delta variant is spreading, and the number of Texans who are in the hospital with it at this hour continues to grow to levels not seen since the springtime. Good morning and thanks for joining us. I'm Joey Horta.
And I'm Paige Ellenberger. Right now in Texas, Harris County has the most cases with over 400,000. Dallas is not too far behind with a little over 200,000. Meanwhile, dozens of Democrats from the House of Representatives are backing Austin Representative Vicki Goodwin, who wants to give school districts the choice to reinstate mask mandates and virtual learning. Caldwell ISD says that right now they have more teachers who have tested positive for COVID-19 than they did around the same time last year. And with an executive order banning government entities, including public schools, from mandating masks and no option for virtual learning, the school district feels their hands are tied.
A one-size plan that the governor just mandates out to the state of Texas does not make any sense. And it didn't make sense last year, and it doesn't make sense this year.
Since there is no state guidelines, Caldwell ISD does have its own plan, including closing down a school if COVID cases surpass more than 5% of the population. And right now, Baylor Scott & White is requiring its employees to be fully vaccinated by October 1st. In a statement to 25 News, the hospital group cites the rapidly rising case counts and the highly contagious Delta variant, combined with the start of flu season, as reasons behind the mandate. And of course, the Canada pastor says his fight against COVID-19 has changed his perspective on getting the vaccine. The pastor has been battling the virus for more than 20 days. He admits he was not vaccinated, but now plans to be after his near-death experience. Reeves started feeling body aches and other symptoms in early July, testing positive for COVID-19 just a few days later. In about a week, his breathing became so labored that he rushed to a hospital. At one point, doctors told him he could be in danger of needing a lung transplant.
The doctor came in and said, "You're going to the ICU," and hovered over me and said that I needed to have a reality check, that I could die. I cried in here. I had emotional moments in here. I had regret in here. I recognized that I had been a bit cavalier, and that almost cost me.
He made a remarkable turnaround, crediting his faith, support from his church, and his medical team. He's still recovering, but urges anyone who does have doubts to talk to their doctor, someone who can separate fact from fiction. And every day this week, President Joe Biden's administration has made moves designed to make a dent in the pandemic. And as Britt Conway reports, today will be no different.
Is the president confident he can get the unvaccinated to change their minds?
We have to.
And he's pushing to do just that. Monday, news that vaccines will be required for healthcare workers at the Department of Veterans Affairs. Tuesday, new mask recommendations from the CDC for people who live in areas with substantial or high transmission of COVID-19. Right now, that's more than 75% of the country. Starting Wednesday, the White House asked all federal agencies to require masks indoors in those areas with substantial or high transmission. And today, the president will lay out his next steps to ramp up vaccinations and take down variants. He's expected to announce new guidelines for federal workers. Officials say they'd be required to share their vaccination status. People who aren't vaccinated wouldn't be let go, but they would have to wear a mask and submit to regular testing. And there could be additional requirements at some point. But none of this is expected to be imposed on the U.S. military. And sources say the Department of Justice is also weighing the legality of companies requiring employees to get shots. A number already have, including Google, Facebook, Netflix, Saks Fifth Avenue, The Washington Post, Lyft, and Twitter. And the list is growing. I'm Britt Conway reporting.
The recent rise in COVID cases forcing the CDC to change their mask guidance, and some students are struggling with those constant changes.
KRHD News reporter Brittany DeFran joins us to shine a light on the issue that is mental health in kids. Brittany, good morning.
Good morning, Joey and Paige. That's right. Just as students thought they would return to a somewhat normal school year, they're back to being in the dark. Last fall, James Krhd struggled with the lack of socialization he was getting at school. He returned to campus while many did online learning. Although James was happy to be back, he missed having more students to socialize with. The CDC now recommending everyone revert to wearing a mask indoors, even if fully vaccinated, especially in schools. All the back and forth changes have had a negative effect on some students' mental health.
I'm a social person. Like I like interacting with people. So I didn't really like that, so it was harder to socialize with people.
Change comes with everything that we do. But our kids don't realize how change can affect them, not just physically, but mentally as well.
As an advocate for those struggling with mental health and a parent herself, Tracy Krhd says parents need to help their kids understand why the need for masks is making a comeback. The CDC says 46% of U.S. counties have high transmission rates, where only 9% have a low transmission. In Bryan, Brittany DeFran, KRHD News.
Brittany, thanks for that. And now to a health alert. Johnson & Johnson facing a new lawsuit over products allegedly marketed to black women now linked to cancer. The lawsuit accuses the company of selectively marketing talcum-based products, including baby powder, to black women, despite knowing for years the items are linked to ovarian cancer. The company sold talc-based powder for more than 100 years before recalling 33,000 bottles in 2019. Johnson & Johnson stopped selling the powder in the U.S. and Canada in 2020. However, it allowed the existing inventory to be sold until it runs out. The company denies the allegations. The Food and Drug Administration has now designated the first generic type of insulin. It's called Semglee, and this could help some diabetics. Insulin prices are up because there's very little competition. The FDA says Semglee is a safe and less expensive alternative to treating this disease. We're going to change gears, talk about what's going on with our forecast now. Bain Frody here this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good
yes,
to see you.
It's going to be a beautiful Thursday. We're going to be seeing some nice and warm temperatures. We're going to be in those upper 90s once again today, tomorrow, and also into the weekend as well. But we do have some potential for some of those storms coming through later on today as well as into tomorrow. Now, we are also going to be seeing a pretty hot weekend. But let's talk about today for right now. Taking a look at our clouds and radar. Not too much going on this morning. We're not going to be seeing too much going on until our afternoon hours. That's when we're going to be seeing some potential for some of those isolated showers and some of those storms. So while you may not be getting wet all day long, you could be seeing a couple of showers sprouting up here and there throughout today as well as into tomorrow. We could be seeing some of those showers mostly in our afternoon hours coming through on Thursday today as well as into tomorrow afternoon. But then Saturday, we're expecting it to look pretty dry. We're going to be seeing that those dry spells continue for the next couple of hours on Saturday, but then on Sunday, that story changes. That's when we're going to be seeing some of that potential for some more of that rain. But let's take a look at the rest of your day for today. Taking a look around 9 a.m., we're going to be in those low 80s, seeing some of that sunshine coming out, some of those clouds as well. Around noon, though, that's when we're going to be seeing some of that potential for some of those storms sprouting up as well, giving us those temperatures in those low 90s, going up to those mid 90s later on today. We'll be seeing those potentials for some of those storms continue throughout the afternoon hours, and then by our evening hours clearing up, still seeing some of that cloudy skies, but still hanging out mostly in those 90s. Now let's take a look at those temperatures later on throughout the Brazos Valley area. We're going to be seeing mostly in those mid 90s for today, about 95 over in Bryan College Station area. So still going to feel pretty warm, even though we could be seeing some of those showers coming through, cooling down some areas throughout the day, but for the most part, really staying mostly warm. And of course, it's going to feel like those triple digits because of all that humidity. So make sure that you are definitely hydrating. If you're going to be outside later on today, make sure that you're taking breaks in the shade. It's going to be hot. Now, we'll be cooling down to those mid 70s later on tonight and into tomorrow morning. And that's going to keep us pretty cool until the next day as well. But then we're going back up. We're going to see those temperatures rising back up to those mid-90s once again. Still have some of those rain chances in place on Friday. We do have that potential for Friday, about 20% chance as of right now. But then on Saturday, that's where we're going to be seeing some of those chances dwindling down. We're going to be seeing mostly cloudy skies for Saturday, seeing those temperatures go rising up to those upper 90s. Not quite 100 degrees yet, but it's going to feel pretty hot. Now, on Sunday, still have those chances for some of that rain coming through, more so in the afternoon hours as well as into the evening. And then on Monday, that's when we could be seeing a cold front moving through, which is going to give us some more potential for some of those showers coming through. About 40% chance for Monday, 30% Tuesday. And then we'll be cooling down as the rest of the week continues, hanging out mostly in those mid-90s. So definitely get ready for a pretty hot week.
All right, Bain, thanks for that. This morning, Governor Greg Abbott signing an executive order restricting ground transportation of migrants here in Texas. Abbott says this will help limit the spread of COVID-19. The order allows Texas DPS to stop any driver believed to be breaking the order and send them back. DPS also has the power to impound vehicles if the driver violates the order.
Also over in Houston, 19 people were found in an apartment in what police believe to be a human smuggling investigation. All were adults except for one teenager. They're all in good medical condition. The person who leased the apartment was not on the premise, and no arrests have been made just yet.
And as it turns out, there at this time, 19 people in a very small one-bedroom apartment, deplorable conditions inside, no furniture at all.
If you suspect anything suspicious in regards to human trafficking, please call the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 888-373-7888, text them at 233-733, or submit a tip online at humantraffickinghotline.org.
Over 300 million Americans have received at least one COVID-19 jab, but the 3 vaccines circulating in the U.S. have not been fully approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Many Americans who haven't gotten a shot say they're hesitant to get a vaccine that's so far only been given a lesser emergency use approval.
Anytime that there's a new product, I'm always kind of hesitant.
I just kind of want to see, I know it's a new vaccine, so I'd rather wait to see what happens in the future with that.
A recent Kaiser Family Foundation poll found 16% of unvaccinated adults surveyed said they thought the vaccine was too new, too unknown, or not tested enough. The FDA hasn't said when the vaccines will get their gold star. Typically, vaccine reviews can take 6 to 12 months. A spokesman for the FDA told Newsy the FDA recognizes that vaccines are key to ending the COVID-19 pandemic and is working as quickly as possible to review applications for full approval. President Biden says he expects full approval to happen in the fall, but the White House maintains it has no influence over the agency's timeline.
The FDA is the gold standard in our view, and they move at the speed of science.
The FDA says it's conducting a priority review of the vaccine data on the Pfizer vaccine and has set a goal date of January 2022 for approval. But the FDA says it will likely come much sooner than that. Pitts, a former FDA Associate Commissioner, predicts all 3 vaccines will be approved by Labor Day. He says the holdup has been a review of potential side effects.
The FDA has to really understand why they happen, who they happen to, so that on the label of these products, they can tell physicians exactly what to expect.
Pitts says he's skeptical full approval will lead to a wave of unvaccinated Americans getting the shot. But he says many businesses and schools are looking to the FDA to determine whether they should require vaccines.
Once the FDA does, click that box and give the vaccines full approval, I believe that more entities, business, private, universities, et cetera, will in fact mandate vaccinations for the people that use their services, work in their companies, attend their schools.
The vote is in. UT and OU are headed to the SEC. How much could this move cost Texas cities? Stick with us, Brazos Valley. Good Morning Texas. We'll be right back.
The Board of Regents votes to allow A&M President Dr. Banks to vote yes in expanding the SEC from 14 to 16 teams. This allows the University of Texas and the University of Oklahoma to join the conference now. UT and OU's move to the SEC could mean big problems, though, for some Texas communities. They could lose up to $500 million a year. That's according to new data from the Perryman Group. It says Baylor, TCU, and Texas Tech football may be left behind. That means the economies of Waco, Fort Worth, and Lubbock could lose millions, along with thousands of jobs. CEO Ray Perryman saying that communities are scrambling to save their football economies.
And the schools are going to do what they can to protect the situation they have and or try to get the best situation they can going forward. We're in the middle of an earthquake and it's happening. We're not going to stop it, but we can do everything we can to minimize the damage from it.
Media rights are one of the biggest factors on the Texas-Oklahoma move. Smaller football programs have less opportunity for airtime and donor cash without those big-time matchups. Meanwhile, the Big 12 sends a cease and desist letter to ESPN. This letter accuses the network of actively engaging in discussions with Big 12 schools to leave the conference. Reports say both UT and OU wanted out of the Big 12 because the conference would not get a better media deal than the current one with ESPN.
Remington is offering to pay more than $3.5 million each to families of victims killed in the Sandy Hook massacre. It totals nearly $33 million. 9 families are suing the firearms manufacturer. They claim in part Remington marketed its Bushmaster's version of the AR-15 rifle for people to, quote, carry out offensive military-style combat missions against their perceived enemies. No word on if the families will accept Remington's offer. Their lawyers said in a statement they will consider their next steps. McCormick and Company is recalling 3 seasonings for possible salmonella contamination. They are McCormick Perfect Pinch Italian Seasoning, McCormick Culinary Italian Seasoning, and Frank's Red Hot Buffalo Ranch Seasoning. The products were shipped to 32 states, as well as Bermuda and Canada between June 20th and July 21st. Consumers are asked to throw away the products and call McCormick for a replacement or full refund.
Businesses across the country are struggling to find workers. How one restaurant in California is managing as they work on getting more people on their payroll. Happy Friday Eve, Brazos Valley. You're watching Good Morning Texas. It's no secret a lot of service industry managers are struggling to hire staff as business picks back up. One restaurant owner in California bridged the gap by hiring on a robot. Staff members just load it up with food and send it on its way. The general manager says it's on a 2-week trial, but the restaurant intends to keep it even after the trial ends. Well, that's interesting, right?
I think, could I get one of those for my house? Just bring it to my room?
That would be nice.
That'd be so much fun.
From the fridge to the couch where I'm at, I would never get up.
Perfect. You wouldn't have to. Nothing you have to do. Perfect.
Bain, should we bring our umbrellas on the way out the door this morning?
You might want to, because we do have some of those chances of isolated storms today as well as into tomorrow. But if you do see some of that rain, it's not necessarily going to rain on you all day long, but we could be seeing some of those isolated showers. So it's definitely good to be prepared. Definitely bring that umbrella just in case. But we are also going to be seeing those hot temperatures once again in those mid to upper 90s for today. We're going to be seeing a hot weekend ahead as well. But let's take a look at our current radar. Really nothing too much going on right now this morning. We're seeing pretty quiet conditions, seeing some of those clouds throughout our sky. But later on this afternoon, that's when we're going to really see that potential for some of those isolated showers and some of those storms throughout the Brazos Valley area. That's going to continue into the evening hours, and then on Friday morning calming down, and then once again Friday afternoon seeing some of that potential for some of those isolated showers. Like I said, not going to rain on you all day long, but you could still see some of those showers popping up here and there. Now for Saturday, we're expecting to be seeing some pretty dry conditions, partly cloudy skies as well. But then Monday, a cold front's going to move through, which is actually going to give us some more potential for some of that rain and some of those storms, about a 40% chance as of right now. So our beginning of our week, we'll be seeing some of those rain chances increasing. But let's take a look at later on today's highs. We'll be in those mid-90s, mostly in the Brazos Valley area, about up 95 in Bryan College Station, cooling down to those mid-70s later on tonight and into tomorrow morning. Then we'll be warming back up to those mid-90s once again. Still have those rain chances in place for Friday. Seeing a little bit of drier conditions for our Saturday, Sunday, some of those chances as well, some isolated showers coming through more so in the afternoon hours again. But then Monday, our biggest chance for those rain and those storm chances is going to be for Monday, continuing into Tuesday, but then drying out by the end of the week, still remaining mostly in those mid-90s. So it's still going to be pretty hot, pretty humid, so definitely make sure you're hydrating if you're going to be outside.
All right, at least we'll get a little rain out of it. Bain, thanks for that, and stay with us here, Brazos Valley.
We have more news coming to you when Good Morning Texas returns. The pandemic has taken a toll on many folks' mental health. how it's affecting students coming up.
Plus, parking on the Texas A&M campus is going to be a little different this fall. We'll tell you what to expect.
And some meteors will be lighting up the sky. The best nights you can see them. It's Thursday, July 29th. Good Morning Texas continues right now.
Connecting the Brazos Valley. This is Good Morning Texas.
A tug of war between conflicting COVID guidelines is having a major effect on children's mental health. Good morning, I'm Paige Ellenberger.
And I'm Joey Horna. KRHD News reporter Brittany DeFran catches up with a mother and son and is sharing their struggle this morning. Brittany, good morning.
Good morning, Joey and Paige. With a recent surge in COVID cases, the CDC has also seen an increase in cases of anxiety and depression. Students now face another year of uncertainty, and some are fearful of the damage it can cause.
James Krhd will be starting his first year of middle school.
My favorite sport is football.
When he grows up, he would like to be a zoologist and paleontologist.
Social studies is like my favorite, but science is there still.
Last fall, he returned to campus while many did online learning. Although James was happy to be back, he missed having more students to socialize with.
I'm a social person. Like I like interacting with people. So I didn't really like that, so it was harder to socialize with people.
The CDC now recommending everyone revert to wearing a mask indoors, even if fully vaccinated, especially in schools.
Going into another period of uncertainty, we are truly trying to get the fun back for the students.
All the back and forth changes have had a negative effect on some students' mental health.
Change comes with everything that we do. But our kids don't realize how change can affect them, not just physically, but mentally as well.
As an advocate for those struggling with mental health and a parent herself, Tracy Krhd says parents need to help their kids understand why the need for masks is making a comeback.
It's going to come down to our parents playing a big role in that explanation. If that's what comes down the pike, then that's what we're going to do. But it's going to come back to our parents educating the kids.
Her son James is crossing his fingers, hoping they don't return to another lockdown.
Since they said last year there's gonna be no masks anymore, and this year they're saying they're probably gonna be masks and there's probably gonna be a lockdown in Texas, so that's making me a little nervous.
Areas of high transmission are a major concern for health officials. The CDC says these be the first places to return masking up. In Bryan, Brittany DeFran, KRHD News.
Thanks for that, Brittany. Texas A&M is making some major changes to its on-campus parking system. KRHD reporter Rebecca Fiedler this morning tells us what it's going to be like for those who drive to class next semester.
If you park on the Texas A&M campus, you're probably familiar with one of these. Well, parking is changing now, and the university will now be looking at your license plate, not your rearview mirror. Whether it be in a designated lot or garage, students and faculty will now be given access to parking via their vehicle's license plates. Starting this fall semester, parking staff will be constantly driving through these areas to scan plates using camera technology in their university vehicles. No longer will they check for a plastic emblem hanging over a dashboard.
We've actually been using this technology for many years to run the license plates and see if we have any overdue citations or things like that on campus.
Sophomore Aggie student Jessica Williams will be parking on campus this year. She isn't sure what to think of the new system and has some concerns.
I think it's a little bit concerning just because I know some people's cars break down and they may switch out cars with their roommates or something. Like a lot of my friends live in apartment complexes, and of course we all share different visitor passes and stuff.
Transportation Services has put into place the option to designate multiple cars for one permit. Though several license plates can be listed for one shared permit, only one vehicle can be designated to park at a given time by denoting the vehicle through Texas A&M's website.
My parking account is what every customer has with us. They go in there and they can update their plates. We understand that maybe a roommate shares a permit. As long as the license plate of the vehicle parked on campus is linked to that permit that day, they can park, no problems.
Jessica Williams says she thinks she and her friends will learn to adjust.
I do see how this is more efficient, though, for people to go around, and it prevents some sort of fraud. I see it as more of a modernization of the parking system because it allows them to do everything online rather than waiting for all of the parking permits to come in.
For those parking in garages, the university will issue handheld devices that will open gates. Faculty and staff will also still have the option to open garage gates with their ID cards or toll tags. Reporting in College Station, Rebecca Fiedler, KRHD News.
And keep your eyes looking up over the next few weeks as a popular light show will light up the sky. A meteor shower will return to the skies over the northern hemisphere, and showers can now be seen on clear nights. Although the shower began on July 17th, experts forecast the best night for viewing will be on August 11th and 12th. On peak nights, you can see between 50 and 80 meteors. Experts say the best time to watch the meteor shower at its peak will be between 2 and 4 in the morning. All right, Bain, some clear nights. That means some clear skies will be coming up in our future forecast.
Yes, we're going to be seeing some of those clear skies, mostly in the evening hours, but not so much during the afternoon. Especially today, we could be seeing some of those isolated showers popping up here and there. But taking a look at our clouds and radar for our currently right now this morning, not seeing too much. We have a couple of those showers starting to move through the Brazos Valley area right now, but really for the most part, staying quiet for the morning, but that could change later on this afternoon. But this week, we've been seeing those temperatures in those mid-90s, going to be even hotter later on this week and into the weekend as well. But we do have some potential for a few storms coming in today as well as into tomorrow. But that weekend is going to be pretty warm as well. But let's take a look over the next couple of hours for us here in the Brazos Valley area. We're going to be seeing some potential for those isolated showers and storms, mostly in our late morning, early afternoon hours. That could continue throughout the rest of the afternoon and then into Friday as well. We could be seeing some more isolated showers and storms in the afternoon as well as into the evening. Saturday looking a little bit drier, but of course, if you are going to be seeing any of that rain today or into tomorrow, it's not going to last all day long. It's going to be isolated, so it's going to be popping up here and there. So definitely bring your umbrella. You could be seeing some of those showers every once in a while. But taking a look over the next couple of days, like I said, Saturday staying mostly dry. Sunday, we do have some of those rain chances coming back in, about 20% chance. Some of those isolated showers popping up here and there throughout the Brazos Valley area. But on Monday, that's going to be our biggest potential for some rain and some of those storms. We have a cold front moving through, giving us some of those greater chances for some storms popping up throughout the rest of the day, especially in our afternoon hours, and that could continue into Tuesday as well. But let's take a look at what your day is going to look like later on today. Around 9 a.m., we're going to be in those lower 80s, seeing those partly cloudy skies as well. Around 12 o'clock, that's when we're going to be seeing some potential for some of those isolated showers coming through into our afternoon hours as well, keeping us in those mid-90s throughout the Brazos Valley area. We'll be seeing about 95, 96 as a high in Bryan College Station, cooling down to those mid-70s later on tonight and into tomorrow morning, and then warming back up to those mid-90s. So we're not going to be seeing any get up on that heat. We're going to mostly be seeing a lot of that warm temperatures coming through and then going up to those upper 90s on Saturday and into Sunday. Still have some potential for some rain on Sunday, isolated showers, of course, and then Monday, that's when our biggest chance of rain is going to be at. We're going to be seeing about a 40% chance for Monday, continuing into Tuesday, mostly remaining in those mid-90s for this week.
Between the Delta variant and the mask debate, reopening schools is challenging enough. Now districts across the country are concerned about how they're getting students to school.
As drivers were retiring, or if drivers decided to change their career path, we weren't replacing them just because ridership was down.
Districts across the U.S., including L'Anse Creuse Public Schools in Michigan, are dealing with a school bus driver shortage.
Ultimately, it's a logistics issue. If we can't get the kids to school because there aren't enough drivers, we'd have to be very creative in regards to how would we do that.
According to the news organization Education Week, nearly 80% of school transportation professionals say the driver shortage is a problem for them. Districts across the country have implemented a number of temporary or permanent solutions to get students to school. Some districts will scale back services or combine bus routes. Some schools have increased the number of zones where students can walk to school, and others have staggered the start and end times for students.
After a record number of overdose deaths in America, an addiction facility is trying to bring back hope to people who fell on hard times during the pandemic.
It just took being in the wrong place at the wrong time at a weak moment, and I used again, and from the next 6 months was the deepest, darkest hell I've ever known.
Jennifer Campbell has faced loss, addiction, and domestic abuse. She's even been on the brink of death.
He beat me so badly, he put me in a body bag in a river, and I was unconscious, but I kept waking up. I don't know if it was the cold water, but I tried to fight my way out of the body bag, and someone pulled up into these woods by the grace of God. Pulled up into these woods, and he saw them, so he came and got me out of the river and took me back to the house. So God saved me once again.
It wasn't until she was arrested for drug distribution that she finally got away from that man. She says she believes God used the time she served behind bars as an opportunity to press the reset button.
It doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter what you've done. It doesn't matter what's happened, who's failed you. We learned that God will never fail you.
After jail, Jennifer went to a long-term residential facility called the Mercy House. She's now been sober for 4 years.
Hi, I'm Rosalinda Rivera, and I'm the executive director of the Mercy House. Our home represents probably about 90% of women that have been through sexual abuse, through some kind of physical abuse. They are victims of violence, domestic violence, many of them have turned to addiction to find a way of an escape.
Rosalinda says the women go through a series of family classes, job-related training, and relapse prevention. She says a recent study done by the University of Maryland shows 65% of the women who finish the program never go back to their addiction.
For the 50 years that we've been doing this program, we have seen that the core issue is a lack of hope.
As the U.S. opioid crisis continues to get worse, Rosalinda says it was heartbreaking to turn ladies away at the beginning of the pandemic.
Once we realized that we could do testing and let people in the door, the phones never stopped ringing. Probably they lost their jobs. They were struggling financially. Maybe someone in their family was suffering from COVID-19. Maybe someone in their family passed away due to it. And I mean, that just brings on so many different aspects of grief. And some people don't know any way to deal with that other than to run to drugs.
According to the CDC, a record 93,000 people died from drug overdose in 2020.
I'm Nora Volkov. I'm the director of the National Institute on Drug Abuse at the NIH.
Dr. Nora Volkov says the opioid crisis was basically put on the back burner during the pandemic.
The number of people that have died from opioids significantly rose during the COVID pandemic year of 2020, at least 30% increases from 2019. And so this is the largest increase in overdose deaths that we have ever recorded.
She says the healthcare system was saturated because of COVID-19, and there's been a rise in more dangerous drugs like fentanyl.
People that are mostly affected are between 24 and 54 years of age. So they are at the prime of their lives.
In order to make these numbers go down, Dr. Volkov says we need to end the stigma surrounding addiction so people aren't ashamed to seek medical help. She also would like to see an expansion of access to naloxone, a medication that rapidly reverses an opioid overdose.
They want their mom, and you can do this. You can be a mom for them.
And places like the Mercy House help these women to view themselves in a more positive light, giving them a chance to start a new chapter.
It's a battle that they're going to deal with the rest of their life. And so if they plug in a community that's thriving, and when they find purpose, that is what kind of separates them and helps them stay on the path to recovery.
In Richmond, Virginia, I'm Elizabeth Ruiz reporting.
Coffee is the latest item to become more expensive due to supply shortages recently caused by bad weather in Brazil. This week, Arabica coffee reached its highest price since 2014. And if you were waiting for the shortage of new cars to end in the U.S., well, don't hold your breath. Investment banking giant Goldman Sachs says the shortage won't end for months. The bank thinks inventories will stay well below pre-pandemic levels through next year. The problem is a global semiconductor shortage, one of many supply chain constraints driven by the pandemic.
Health officials explaining while those unvaccinated make up the majority of infections, new information shows the level of virus in infected people with the shot is indistinguishable from those without it, unlike previous strains.
Delta variant is showing every day its willingness to outsmart us and to be an opportunist in areas where we have not shown a fortified response against it.
According to the CDC's community transition map, most of West Michigan falls into its low or moderate levels. Only Van Buren, Cass, Mason, and Branch counties subject to the guidance.
I think is their attempt to be a little bit more sustainable and really look at things at a local level in terms of what's happening in the community and then applying that risk to what the recommendation is.
Local doctors believe it's the right approach, but caution, the Delta variant is just making its way through the area. Contact tracers found it within the past few weeks, so circumstances may change.
83% of all infections with COVID right now across the country are the Delta variant. And I think it's really, really important. The CDC, when they made their original recommendations to allow, to recommend people take their masks off, the Delta variant was at 1% in the United States.
The best way to avoid it, they say, is to get the shot, pushing us closer to herd immunity.
It should be an increased motivation to get vaccination because we know that the protection is still pretty good. Breakthrough cases are happening higher than with other variants, but the protection is still great and you're not going to get that sick. So my motivation is to get as many people vaccinated as possible.
Rare Wu-Tang Clan album was purchased for a pretty penny. What that money is being used for when we come back. Stick with us. You're watching KRHD.
The United States sells a one-of-a-kind album to help pay off convicted hedge fund manager Martin Shkreli's $7 million judgment. It's the only copy of the it's the only copy of the Wu-Tang Clan album Once Upon a Time in Sholin. It includes a hand-carved nickel-silver box along with a leather-bound manuscript containing lyrics and certification of authenticity. The album was previously owned by Shkreli. He bought it in 2015. He was ordered to forfeit this at his sentencing in 2018. Get ready for a wing-ding of a day. It is National Chicken Wing Day, and after a number of years of different establishments selling their version of buffalo wings, the city of Buffalo, New York has proclaimed July 29th to be National Chicken Wing Day. Way back in 1977 it started. You can celebrate by finding a chicken wing special at a restaurant, maybe a chicken wing eating contest too. Let us know if you find that. And if you're celebrating, use the hashtag National Chicken Wing Day. Boneless or bone in?
Oh, I like the bone in.
Okay.
I do. I really do. And this is like my favorite kind of day. I love chicken. I love anything. I love all kinds of food. So perfect. I think that's what I'm having for breakfast.
Today's your day.
It is my day. And it's also going to be a great day outside. We're going to be seeing some pretty nice conditions, but we could be seeing some of those showers coming through to cool us off slightly more so in the afternoon hours. But taking a look at our clouds and radar right now, really not too much going on. We do have some of those storms and some showers coming through, starting to pull through the Brazos Valley area for this morning, but still remaining mostly calm, but that could change later on this afternoon. We're going to be seeing some potential for some of those storms and showers today and also into tomorrow. It's going to be isolated, of course, so it's not going to rain on you all day long, but those temperatures are really going to remain in those mid to upper 90s, and we'll be seeing a pretty hot weekend up ahead as well. But let's take a look at your day for today. We're going to be seeing mostly those isolated showers and storm chances in the afternoon hours continuing into the early evening, and then on Friday could see that once again in our afternoon as well, seeing those partly cloudy conditions throughout the rest of the day today and also into tomorrow. And then Saturday looking to be a little bit drier. We could be seeing those conditions drier, but of course that means our temperatures are going to be a little bit warmer. So definitely going to be in those upper 90s for this weekend, but those rain chances do end up coming back through for our Sunday hours as well, mostly in the afternoon, but then our biggest rain chances, that's going to be on Monday. We have a cold front coming through, giving us some potential for some of those storms pulling through for the early in the beginning of the week, and then we'll be drying out as the week continues. But let's take a look at your day for today. We'll see the mostly partly cloudy skies in our morning hours in those 80s around 9 a.m. and then around noon, that's where we're going to see those low 90s, some potential for those storms and rain chances coming through in our afternoon hours, but we'll still be in those mid 90s, so still pretty warm. Now throughout the Brazos Valley area, we'll be in those mid 90s once again, about 95 over in Bryan College Station for today, cooling down to those mid 70s, and then we're going to be warming back up to those mid 90s once again for tomorrow. Still have those rain chances in place, about 20% chance for tomorrow, and then on Saturday looking to be pretty dry, which means we'll be in those upper 90s, a little bit warmer for this weekend. Not quite 100 degrees, but still we are going to start slowly starting to get there. But on Monday, that's our biggest chance for some of that rain and those storm chances, about 40% chance. Then we'll see that dwindling down, and as it dwindles down, we'll be remaining in those mid 90s with some partly cloudy skies throughout the rest of the week. So get ready for a hot one. It's going to be pretty warm out there.
All right, hot and wet. Here it comes. All right, Bain, thanks for that. And we're always online at krhdnews.com.
Happy Friday Eve, Brazos Valley. You're watching Good Morning Texas on KRHD.